Hey everyone, welcome back to our BRZ build. So we've had this car for a couple of weeks and we've really gotten used to how it handles. Now, one of the nice things and nice upgrades about this car is that there seems to be more grip just all around versus the Gen 1. The rear especially has a lot more grip, and for those of you that autocross, that stability is going to be welcome. Now, one of the real easy and simple changes that you can do to add some more front end and balance the car a little bit better is to adjust the camber in the front. So I'm just going to show you a really simple way of doing it, and of course an alignment will follow, but let's step through what's needed here and get to it. The camber adjustment on this car is going to be done through two areas. You can adjust the camber using the knuckle here, or you can adjust the camber at the top of the strut. So you can push the strut in to give it more camber, or you can adjust how this knuckle attaches and essentially have it move inwards from the attachment point to give it more negative camber in the front. And because we're not changing the springs and coils right off the bat here, what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this point. So on these Subarus, you have an adjustment from the factory here, and it's relatively limited. So I'll show you how much the car comes with from the factory in terms of camber, and then we're going to see how much we can gain by just adjusting the factory bolt. And then finally, we're going to throw on a set of camber bolts. We're going to see how much more camber we get from those, and then we're going to throw on the alignment rack and get it dialed in. So I'm taking apart the bolts here, just a little bit of information for you guys. So this is a 16 millimeter and at the top, and this is a 14 millimeter at the bottom. So if you want to be adjusting your camber by adjusting the top bolt, put an eccentric in the top bolt, make sure you get a 16 millimeter one. If you want to do it at the bottom, make sure you get a 14 millimeter one. There is no factory adjustment at all. So both bolts, none of them are eccentric. I'm used to the WRX, I guess, where the top one is an adjustable bolt, but on this car, nothing is adjustable from the factory. So we happen to have in the shop this white line bolt, which is a 14 millimeter. You can see the cam on here, and what this essentially does is this allows the bottom of the knuckle to move around, and you can set it in place. And we want it to move further out so that there's the wheel is the bottom of the wheel is moved further out, hence giving us negative camber. So we're going to be putting this 14 millimeter adjustment bolt, camber bolt at the bottom, and then we're going to have a look if we can see the difference visually. But of course, this is going to all be set on an alignment rack. So did a rudimentary measurement of the camber on the car. And I mean rudimentary because we don't have an alignment rack here. We have to bring it to our good friends Dale's for that. But it looks like the back is about 1.5 degrees of negative camber, and the front is about 0.5 degree. And then, so this is what about 0.5 degree looks like. This is still the stock setting, so we haven't changed anything on this side of the car. And this is what the camber bolt mounted, the 14 mil camber bolt mounted in the lower hole yields. So just visually, you can see the difference between the two. And again, a rudimentary measurement shows that we probably are able to add about 0.7 to 1 degree of negative camber using the 14 mil camber bolts in the lower hole. BRZ is back from the alignment. So after we put in those camber bolts and we adjusted, we got it took it to the shop to maximize the front camber. So if you can have a look here down the profile of the car, you can see that the OEM tires look more sunken in. We got them to be able to have the same camber as the rear. So that's going to help with tire wear, and that's going to help with the balance of the car. It's going to give it a little bit more front end grip. So these cars are set up like most cars to have a tendency to understeer a little bit, and this should help in that department. And you can do so with the camber bolts are about what, 30-40 bucks, and then of course you need an alignment. So none of the components stock from this car none of the stock components allow you to do a camber adjustment front or rear. So if you want to do any of that, you need to add some parts. And this is probably one of the quickest ways and easiest ways to do it. So let's go over this this alignment spec sheet, and I'll show you guys how things look like. So this is the front axle of the car. These are the initial measurements, and then these are the final measurements. So this is what you're going to end up with when the car is all fully aligned. And it's got a decent amount of caster here in the front, so we have nothing that's really caster adjustable on the car, so it is kind of what it is. Next, you're going to see the front camber, so it's pretty even from side to side, about minus 1.25 degree. Zeroed out the toe to not have any sort of excessive tire wear, and then you can see the camber in the rear is about the same, so it's a good match between the front and rear. Ideally, you probably want a little bit more camber in the front for an autocross setup or a track setup than you do in the rear, but this is definitely moving more in that right direction than it is stock. So these are the numbers that the final numbers, and it's a really good starting point on modifying the suspension on the BRZ. So next, we're going to be taking this car and putting it on the dyno. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for this. So we'll have it on the dyno very soon, and we'll compare it to the Gen 1. And look out for that. So subscribe, keep watching, and keep following this build. And we'll see you guys next time.